Jordan. So today I have another video for you guys. Yeah, I am going to be doing a story time for you guys. And this story time is a little bit different because it has to do with the time that I dated a fuck boy. I believe in every girl's life they at least probably will date at least one fuckboy. And if you don't know what a fuckboy is, basically a fuckboy is a boy that just wants to fuck. So, yeah, this story is actually kind of crazy. I'm so glad that this time in my life is over because with this guy brought a lot of, you know, anxiety and problematic situations, and I'm just super glad that he is gone out of my life for good. You know, I heard that he moved to a different state, so fingers crossed he stays there. So, of course, with most of my dating life, I am going to give you guys background stories. And so how I met this guy is like every other guy that I pretty much date, because it's hard for me to meet men. I don't really go out to bars too often. I don't go out too much, and I just haven't had any luck at bars. And you know, I'm just not in school right now, so I literally live by myself and I don't really, you know, go out too much. So for me to date, it makes more sense to do online dating. So I am currently online, and I did meet him on an app, a dating app. And yeah, so the first night that we actually talked, we ended up going out to a bar and having a first date. And he was super different at first. He seemed really sweet, really genuine. You know, he always talked about, you know, wanting to better his future, wanting to build a future with someone else. You know, he said he was looking for something serious, not, you know, just a hookup or, you know, friends with benefits situation. And I am not like that. I don't do those kind of situations. So I definitely look for someone who wants to be, you know, committed and just kind of you know, see where things go. So this guy actually ended up coming from a pretty difficult situation. He just moved up to where I live about 5 days before I met him, and he moved from his family and everything, and he picked up, you know, didn't have any money to his name, and because he did lose most of his belongings and stuff because he was involved in illegal activities. So he moved up for a job, and he was currently living in a house full of roommates for this job. And I didn't know too much about the job at first, but it ended up being super, super sketchy. And you know, he ended up having like 8 roommates, which was ridiculous for like, I think a 3-bedroom house, like 8 or 9. And he stayed in the basement with 3 other guys, which again was a lot. You know, he didn't really have a lot of privacy, and it was a tough situation. And at the time I was living with my dad, so I wasn't yet in my new apartment that I am now. So yeah, like I would always go over his place instead of him coming over my place, because I don't like to introduce my dad to guys unless it's super, super serious and we've been dating for a long time. So my dad doesn't really meet most of the guys that I've dated, just because I don't want to, you know, just make things complicated, you know. So I usually go over his place, and also he didn't have a car, so there was a lot of things like working against us at first. Like he didn't have a car, he was really, really broke, and I did a lot for this guy, and honestly he really did end up hurting me, because I did a lot. I, you know, gave him money for food, I bought alcohol for us, you know, when we would go to the bars, I would buy him drinks, you know, I would drive him places, and he wouldn't give me gas money. So I did a lot for this guy, and you know, now looking back on it, I probably should be more reserved to the point where, you know, I don't let men take advantage of me so much. So I definitely have learned my lesson from the situation, and yeah, so I ended up finding out things more along when we started, like, you know, dating and talking more. And I dated him for a little bit over a month, and I found out, you know, later on that he used to be a big drug dealer where he's from. He made a lot of money doing that. I also found out that he used to be addicted to hardcore drugs, so like meth and cocaine, which I never in my life have been around. I don't want to be around. I definitely don't want, you know, that kind of lifestyle for myself, and you know, I just don't do drugs. It's not a thing that I condone, and I don't, you know, support it, because I think there's a lot of, you know, bad situations that come from doing stuff like that. So I found out that, and I also found out that he ended up having a daughter. And I didn't know about this at first, and I found out that he had a daughter where he was from, and he only had like one picture of her, and he told me in hindsight that his baby's mama, which wasn't even his ex, she was actually a one-night stand from him, and he ended up having a kid with her, was crazy, and she was a stripper and all this stuff. And probably I honestly think that he's probably the crazy one, because I think from what I know about him and how he, you know, carries himself and how he's reacted to like certain situations, I really honestly do think that she's probably completely normal. And yeah, okay, she might be a stripper, but that doesn't mean that she doesn't provide for her child. You know what I mean? Like, I bet that, I think that he's the one that left. You know what I mean? I don't think she said you can never see him again or see her, just because of what he told me, and you know, just like how I know that he is. So I definitely think that he was the one that left and just chose not to be in his daughter's life, which really, really sucks. I found out stuff like that, and of course, you know, I can take a lot. Like, I definitely was okay with him, you know, being an ex-addict as long as he was not doing drugs when he was with me, or, you know, at all when he was with me. But later on, I found out after we broke up, you know, that he was actually doing meth, he was doing cocaine, he was doing, you know, he never really stopped doing it. And, you know, he was always super, super proud, like, oh, I'm, you know, sober, I've been sober for a long time. And it's just like so crazy that someone can straight up lie to your face about their whole entire life and then turn around and just do, you know, exact opposite what they just told you. It is just crazy. And I definitely know that he definitely was doing drugs, because it makes sense, because if I was with him for like a long period of time, he would be like, you know, kind of like almost boring, like to the point where he was just like, you know, super, super chill, but like, again, boring. But then if I wouldn't see him, and then I would come over, he would be super hyper, he would be super excited, like he would be basically on drugs, because he would have the time to do it when I wasn't there, because he knew that, you know, I wasn't gonna stick around if he was doing cocaine and meth. Yeah, and he told me that he was broke and all this stuff. Like, you're clearly not broke if you are being able to afford drugs. So yeah, I found that out by a friend, one of his friends, who was texting me right after we decided to break up. So the way that we ended up breaking up was really, really fucked up, because he doesn't have the balls clearly to just say so, like that he wanted to break up. He didn't talk to me for 4 days, and I'm the type of person and the type of girl that if you're not gonna talk to me, fine, you know, you do you, like, you know, I'm not gonna fucking hunt you down so we can have a conversation. Like, that's fucked up. Like, I'm not gonna blow up your shit. Like, if you don't want to talk to me, fine, don't talk to me. But after the 4th day, I was like, okay, you know, I texted him twice, never answered, called him like once, after, like for 4 days, never answered. So I was like, this is kind of sketchy, there's something going on, like I don't like it. I texted him and I was like, listen, if you don't want to be with me, just tell me, don't like lead me on, like this is really fucked up. And he told me, he was like, okay, I want to break up. And I texted him back, and I'm super proud of myself, because when it comes to men, I feel like I am kind of a pushover, which is terrible, because you should definitely stand your ground and, you know, let your feelings be heard. And I was just like, you know what, no shit, I want to break up too. Because again, I'm not going to be with someone who doesn't want to talk to me for 4 days and then comes back into my life and is just like, hey, what's up, like nothing happened. Like, that's so messed up. So yeah, we ended up breaking up over text message, and after like it was over, he got like really, really mean. Like, he was like, I'm waiting for you to get lost, like why are you still talking and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, your personality is doing like a complete like 360 from what you used to treat me like. He was really, really sweet, and he always kind of played this like, I'm a nerdy boy, like I'm like a nerdy sweet guy. Like, he had glasses, you know, he kind of was awkward, like he had like that whole like persona down. But literally when people weren't around, or when I wasn't around, or like when my friends weren't around, because my friends met him and they all really liked him. 3 of my best friends met him and they all liked him. They were like super excited for me, blah, blah, blah. And he ended up having a really deep conversation with one of my friends one night and saying like how he really liked me, how he wanted to be more serious with me and all this. And, you know, they all liked him. We all fell for his complete, like, so yeah, like, he just completely is very two-faced. So, yeah, after we broke up, I ended up hearing from his friend, who I also met, one of his roommates slash friends, who brought him up from where he lived to where I lived to do this job. And I knew that he was always busy with this job because he would work long days and, you know, after, you know, walking all day, because what they would do, they were doing door-to-door sales, and he worked for a marketing company that basically would sell anything that they are marketing, I guess. So for instance, like, I'm gonna give an example, like alarm systems. They would do that, but they weren't doing that at the time. So like if you would walk all day, like 8 hours or something of walking, and knock on everyone's door, ask, you know, if they want an alarm or whatever. And again, this company is super, super sketchy, and like, it's just so unfair because I felt really bad for the people that were in that house because, you know, most of them came from like nothing, like they had really bad situations and they weren't making any money. I felt like most of the people who were making the money were were like on top, like the bosses were making money because they would get commission off all the reps, and the reps would get commission only if the deal would go through, and like half of their deals, like let's say they got, you know, 20 deals for the week, okay, which would be like $50 a deal. So depending on, you know, what they sold. And half of those wouldn't even go through, first of all. And then the other half, you know, they would take a while to go through, but they eventually would go through. So they would be getting paid every week, but like, it wouldn't be a lot. Like they what they do is like they like trap people. And I know this sounds so crazy, but like literally be warned of these kinds of companies because it's not a good profession. It sounds really good because, you know, the bosses like flash their money. They say, oh, you can make $1,000 in a week, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, that sounds good, but like, do you really think you're gonna be making that every single week? No, you're probably gonna go 3 weeks without making anything. And it's just like crazy because crazy and sad because they really trap these people who don't really have anything or anywhere to go, and they give them a place to stay, they give them food, they give them a job. So it sounds like a good opportunity, but like I said, Luke, who, that is what I'm calling him, his name is not Luke, but my ex, Luke, he's told me, even when we were close, like, he said, like, I feel trapped. Like, I can't leave the house, like, I can't, you know, I can't find somewhere else to stay because if I leave the house, like, they're gonna fire me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just very, very sketchy. And, again, the only people that were making money in the house, and it wasn't even that much money, but like they would like blow it like it was, you know, were the bosses. And I just thought that was so crazy. And, you know, they were just, they have offices all over the country. Like they have them in New York, Boston, you know, where I'm from. They have so many different like offices, and it's just so messed up because people really get stuck in these situations where they've been doing it for 6 years and they're in the same house. Like, it's just super sad. And, you know, when they could be spending their time, you know, maybe like learning a trade or something, or, you know, working for a company that isn't gonna just like screw them over in the long run. So, I don't know, that whole company and that whole situation was very sketchy, and I didn't really like it. And the atmosphere was just really, 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 I can't even describe it. Yeah, I can't describe it. It was just very uncomfortable, I guess. So his boss actually ended up living with him. He was one of the roommates, and again, I did so much for this guy. Yeah, like for example, I drove his boss, and this is again like why it was so sketchy. I drove his boss with Luke to a parole office. Like he had to meet with his parole person, whatever. So, and it was in like a different state, and I had to drive 4 hours to go do that, and 4 hours back because no one in the house had a car, which was super inconvenient. And of course, you know, they saw me, oh, she has a car. Like, I'm kind of thinking maybe that was one of the reasons why he like you know, continued to see me is because I had a car, and it like really hurts me to think about it. But at the same time, like, you know, kudos to you, man, because you're a fucking asshole, but also like brilliant. So yeah, he definitely used me for that, and we ended up actually driving an extra hour to pick up another representative that they were gonna hire. So it ended up being 10 hours, and I mean, he did pay me, the boss, he paid me $100, which isn't that much, but he also filled up my gas tank. So I don't know, I wasn't working at the time, so I was like, okay, $100 and you're gonna fill up my tank, so it's like I'm not really losing anything. So he did pay me, but at the same time, it was just very like, you know, wow, I'm actually doing this. Like I don't even think I would do this for like a friend, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know why I did it. Like, I feel like stupid now thinking back on it because, you know, I wasted that whole day when I could have been doing something else. But at the same time, like, whatever. I thought I was helping out, you know, a guy that was gonna stick around for a long time. So yeah, gotta move on, don't we? So yeah, and he actually ended up crashing my car as well, and it's partially my fault because you should never let someone else drive your own car. Like, I mean, unless you completely trust them, like you're with them, like, you know what I mean? It's different situations, or like if it's your parent, like that's different, but I let him drive my car for literally not even 3 minutes, and he ended up crashing it. He was talking so much shit how I couldn't drive and all this bullshit, and I was like, okay, fine, you know what, you can drive to your place, because we were at my house. So he got in the car and we were backing out of my garage, and here's my like garage, and then right here is a brick wall. He ended up scraping my back, and now I have a white car, so the scrapes are like literally black, so you can see them, and it's just so bad. Like, the paint's all messed up, and thank God he like didn't dent it or anything, but it just looks really bad. It's gonna be money to fix it. I haven't fixed it yet, and he said that he would pay to get it fixed. Never gonna see that money, never gonna see him again. Like, like, it's fine, you know. Like, I gave him my air mattress that was like 50 bucks, and he ended up ruining it. You know, it's just like so crazy. Like, I regret so much. Like, if men like at first want you to help them with all this stuff, like, be cautious, because no one should have to like basically, you know, take care of someone that early on. Like, they're clearly using you. Like, it's just so fucked up, because I should have seen it and I didn't. And, you know, I think I just got swept up in the whole like thing. And after we ended up breaking up, like a couple of days after, ended up hearing from one of his friends slash roommates who brought him up from where he lived, and he actually ended up trying to get with me, and I was like, whoa, slow your roll, man, because he was a little bit younger. Yeah. So he told me all this stuff that, you know, he should have told me earlier, because I thought we were not close, but like I thought, you know, like he was a good person, so I thought he would have told me earlier. He told me that Luke was cheating on me with 3 different girls. He would like call them, and they would pick him up and take them to his place at night, or they would come over. And it's really fucked up, because I was sleeping with him at the time, and he was sleeping with 3 other people. So, you know, he was putting my health at risk, and it's just like crazy, because, you know, how do you have to disrespect someone so much that you don't care if, like, you know, like, that, like, you could have gotten an STD, like, I could have, like, you could have gave me an STD, like, I swear to God, if you would have gave me an STD, I would have, let's just say, he would not be here today. So, thank God he didn't. But yeah, it's just crazy, because I just can't imagine, like, not caring about another human being so much that you are willing to put their health at risk. And yeah, it was just crazy, because I don't know who he's sleeping with. Like, he could be sleeping with, you know, some grimy bitch. I have no idea. Like, you know what I mean? Hopefully his tastes are a little bit better because he's dating me, but no, it sounds like I sound like such a bitch when I said that. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it was just crazy. I've never had someone blatantly cheat on me like that. And, you know, and like then not deny it, you know, it was just very weird. So this guy ended up being super, super fake, a douchebag, a cheater, a liar, a drug addict, a thief, Oh yeah, a thief. So let me talk about that real quick. So before, right after we broke up, the day after, he actually ended up pairing up with a different guy who he was rooming with, a new rep at the house, and he actually had a car. So Luke was excited, apparently, because he had a car, so now he didn't need me anymore. Fuck you, Luke. And you know who you are, bitch. So yeah, he ended up packing up all his stuff, these two guys, Luke and this other guy, and we'll just call him T. So T and Luke packed up all their stuff. They ended up stealing from the house alcohol, as well as another friend who roomed with him, a card that they thought had $1,000 on it. So they thought it was gonna have money on it. It ended up not having money, thank God, because that would be really like upsetting for someone's hard to just be stolen like that, like especially from a fucking douchebag. So he ended up stealing from people in the house, leaving in the middle of the night, and just going to a completely different state for a different job. And someone who recruited him with a similar company, but just doing something different in a different state. So it was just crazy because, you know, if you can do that to like your friends and like literally steal from them and just leave without saying anything, like there's something wrong with you. Like you have a drug problem that you need to take care of, clearly, and you like have mental issues. Like I don't understand. Oh, that situation, just, I'm so glad he is out of my life for good. It is just crazy. And honestly, like, I know myself, if I was with him, like, now, I'm pretty sure he would be staying here, like, all the time, because he was just that kind of, like, asshole who would just, like, make, like, mine his, if that makes sense. So, like, I feel like he would definitely be still taking advantage of me. So I'm so glad that, you know, I just got out of that situation and I broke up with him and he broke up with me. It was very mutual because, again, I wasn't gonna put up with that shit, and you know, I already did so much for him and he wasn't, you know, treating me with respect or, you know, giving me the respect of just like talking to me. Like, that's crazy. So yeah, that was my story time. Hopefully you guys liked it. It was kind of you know, almost like a cautionary tale of who you deal with, especially online, and, you know, who you date, because you really should, you know, be with them for a while before you decide that, you know, oh, I'm gonna go out of my way to do something for this person. Like, definitely make sure that they're worth it, because a lot of people are out there to use and abuse and, you know, not treat you the way that you deserve. And, you know, we're all human beings and we shouldn't be treated less than that. So hopefully you guys are all doing well. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. Like this video if you want more story times. Follow me on Instagram. My Instagram name is PurelyGlamifiedXO. Shop my closet on Poshmark, which is just Purely Glamified. And I will see each and every one of your beautiful faces in my next video. Bye everyone.